Welcome to the Across the Pond Sports Network's WNBA podcast, Across the Pond Liberty. I'm Stacia.
And I'm Kirstin.
Well, I think you called it, and I think I had a feeling that this could happen, but I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. To start off this series with a loss to the Connecticut Sun,
Mm,
Liberty lose the first game of the semifinals, 78-63, on what is their lowest scoring game
mm,
of the year, and we shot horribly against the Mystics from the 3-point line. We just shot horribly from everywhere in this game. Um, and 63 points. Defensively, not so bad. 78 points for the Sun. That's not bad. Because, normally we're putting up 89 points.
mm,
63 points. I'm just going to keep saying it because I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it. 63
mm.
points.
63 points.
Not
Yeah,
great.
it was not our best game. I think Sandy Brondello was speaking after the game and she said that was our worst game of the season. And she's absolutely right. Like they just didn't look on form. There was no flow to the game. It wasn't our kind of New York Liberty pace that we've established this season. Just not very pretty to watch, if I'm honest with you. But you know what? We did say it. We were concerned because in the regular season we didn't lose against the Sun. We blew them out in like two games as well, and that was our concern was that okay, we've bet them all the games in the regular season. Now what? Now they're gonna want more than anything to come out in the playoffs and just kill us. And that's our concerns, they came to life, Stacia, that's exactly what happened.
I mean, let's just do, the Kirsten thing and just look at the third quarter. 28 to 15. 28 to 15. You're already down at halftime by 7, and then you're down by 20, like, going into the not the sorry. You change it or you change it around in the second quarter, and you get up going into halftime by 3, and then you get down by 10 going into the fourth quarter. My math, just looking at that very quickly, was very dumb. So you have a good second quarter, and then you just lose your minds in the third quarter and get down by 13 points, and then the fourth quarter, you the Sun only scored 13 points, but only putting up 8. I don't think we've had a quarter this year where we've scored under 10 points, under double digits. So
Yeah.
that is just abysmal, considering that we put on 44 in one game. I know it was against the Fever, or yeah, I know it was against the Fever to put up that many points, but it's still a WNBA team that was not last in the league, was third to last, that had improved, that gave a lot of people trouble, and then yet you only score 19 points more than that for the game. Uh,
Yeah.
it never had a flow, like you said, and I think that we just, like, succumbed to the physicality of the Sun and lost our minds a little bit. It's a little different than
Mhm.
Washington, and the Sun were like, "We're gonna push everybody around as much as possible," and they did.
They did. They did indeed. It was just, ah, like, to score 8 points in that final quarter, and not only that, but for your total in the whole of the second half to be 23 points, like, it's almost like we just weren't mentally prepared or even physically prepared for the kind of opposition that Connecticut poses. They're such a physical team, and Washington was a physical matchup as well. But this is like what Connecticut are renowned for. They're always that physical team. They're like the kind of team. There's a loose ball. They're all throwing their body on it. That's the kind of team that you're playing against right now, and it really, really showed in that game. We were just not ready for it. We didn't again have the best scoring game. We had Stewart, who didn't score any of her 3 pointers. She attempted 8 3 pointers and didn't score a single one of them. Just
It's bad.
not a good shooting game, and just not all of our kind of attempts at facilitating and creating plays were just not coming into fruition. So many turnovers. We had, I think it was a total of 14 turnovers in the game, which is kind of like slightly above our average for the season. I think it kind of balanced out just around that.
But they're
Um,
live ball turnovers.
yeah. Mhm.
Turnovers that Connecticut can go and do something with. It's different
Yeah.
having dead ball turnovers, but these live ball turnovers, not that's the worst
Yeah,
because you can't set a
it was
defense.
Yeah, it was a lot of silly passes that happened, especially in that first quarter. Connecticut came out firing. They were ready to go. Like that those first possessions, Connecticut had a bunch of really great shots, open shots. We had Dewana Bonner hit 2 threes very quickly in the game, deep threes as well, just because she wasn't being guarded immediately. We weren't immediately hungry to start the game the way that we want to finish it, basically. Whereas Connecticut came in ready to start the game the way they want to play the game for the length of it. And I don't think New York had a single uncontested shot for those first few minutes of the game. Every single shot we put up was lucky, honestly, that it went in because it was so well defended. So I think that kind of just really set the tone for the rest of the game.
Well, and then Connecticut only has 8 turnovers in the whole game, and I think they had 4 or 5 in the second quarter when we flipped it, like, the only quarter that we won, because Ryan and Rebecca did a great job about talking about how when we got back in it is, "Oh, they Liberty haven't had any turnovers this quarter, Connecticut's had all their turnovers," and that was huge to get the momentum back, to get the lead at halftime, so I had some hope even though it didn't start off great. But Connecticut had 35 rebounds, 12 offensive rebounds. We had the same amount of offensive rebounds, but their defensive rebounds, they had 23, only had 18, so they out rebounded us 35 to 30. But even though that is a huge statistic to be out rebounded, we only had 17 assists after averaging about 24 a game, and Connecticut had 20. So to get out assisted, even though Alyssa Thomas has the most total assists for the season, Sloot has a higher average, but so didn't play one game, so that's why it's off. Um, to get out assisted, that just shows how stagnant the offense was. And you said about how in that first quarter they were all up in us. That also the stagnant of that is I don't think people were paying attention as much coming off when they were doubling on the on ball screens that no one was coming and cutting. So there was no space to do anything because of Connecticut's length. And again, Ryan and Rebecca talked about how long Connecticut is, and we're pretty long, but even Connecticut's guards have extremely long arms that were just giving us fits.
Yeah, absolutely. And another shocking stat from that game is that through the entire game, New York did not score a single fast break point. That's just
Ugh.
unheard of, and that just speaks for itself. That just shows how stagnant the game was, how slow paced the game was, and it just really wasn't our New York style basketball. Just not a great game. Though I must say, give it to Dewana Bonner. She's always very entertaining to watch, and see the way she just pulls up with such ease. And I feel like I say this every time we play her. She just shoots the most ridiculously deep threes with ease. And even there was one point where she got the ball from she was like 28 feet out. She was like ages behind the 3 point line. And she faked it. And but Niger just runs out. She just runs out because she's like, nah, she's gonna shoot that. She can shoot that and she'll score that. So I'm not even gonna let her pretend to do that. And she went for it and right enough. Pass Bit Niger to the basket, score. They're just
Well,
I just we just weren't quite there. Weren't quite there
yeah.
today.
And then defensively, I talked about how Sloot needed to be good in the games to do well. Wasn't very good in that first game, and then I wanted to see how Connecticut's bench was going to do because I knew John Quell was
Mhm.
going to be huge, and how Connecticut's besides Dewana and Alyssa were going to do. Rebecca Allen killed it in the first game, but Olivia Nelson Adota, which I have, if you've talked to a few of my friends, she's not a scorer, so I'm like she's kind of there, and that's kind of what I say, but she was given Jonquil fits, and so I had to tip my hat off to, um, ONO, Olivia Nelson Adota.
Mhm.
Oh, no. Yeah, and so she did very well defensively, against her in her 25 minutes, I mean, this and so I was very impressed with Olivia, but, yeah, that was just it's just rough. It was just rough to watch, especially to start that 3rd quarter. What was it? Like
Oh,
16-2 run to start the 3rd quarter,
yeah.
and it was just blatant, I can't say unawareness, but, like, lack of initiative or wanting to really be
Mhm.
in it, and so that was frustrating watching. I was
It's the
cursing
3rd
a
quarter.
lot.
It's the
Yeah,
3rd quarter.
it's the 3rd quarter.
It's the make or break. We say this every
Hey,
week.
Every week. You say this every week.
Yeah.
Alright, so game 2, a little bit better for us. The Liberty win, 84-77. So going into halftime, the Liberty are down 4, 42-38, and then come out in the 3rd quarter and win the 3rd quarter 21-15, which was huge, which gave them momentum going into the 4th quarter. Even though the Sun started to climb back in at the end of the 3rd quarter, still had the lead. And a huge difference. Sloot came through. Sabrina had a better game, not shooting threes, and was so much better coming off those hedge screens without turning the ball over. There were still a few things, but you could see how well that they adjusted on what they needed to do for the physicality of Connecticut. But I think the biggest thing in that game too was the zone. That zone that they played messed with Connecticut's brain because
Mhm.
everything was off, and the help side and the communication, as much as we cannot hear them talking, we can see them talking, and I haven't seen such an effective zone from a professional team in in the WNBA in a while, and that really just shifted the game.
Mm. Yeah, and you can think about, like, the way that they must prepare for these games as well. They'll be watching so much game tape, so many videos of how do you mark specific players? How do you attack specific players? How do you attack the Liberty as a team, as a whole? We don't often play zones, so I imagine they didn't come in entirely prepared or expecting to kind of run the zone, and especially when you're in these playoffs, these kind of end of season important games, you'll get so in your head about, I need to remember this about their offense, I need to remember this about their defense, I need to remember how to specifically attack off the ball, or how to what passes are likely to get intercepted, all these little things like that. So when you switch the defense as significantly as we did, it would totally throw you off. And there's only so much you can do in that one game to then completely adjust your offense, to completely adjust everything that you've been training for to adapt. So it totally showed in the game, and it was very impressive. And I think a very smart move indeed. We also just, like you said, much better shooting game. We had Stewie finally scored her first three of the series.
After missing the
Uh,
first 11.
yeah, oof, I know. We don't speak about it though.
Ugh,
Ugh, but
ugh,
yeah, no, it was a great move, and also one of my favorite figures of the game, 10-10 from the free throw line from Ionescu. That's
yes.
impressive.
The whole
That's
team,
impressive.
though.
Yeah,
Whole
true.
team. Was it 16 of 16? Yep, from the free throw
Yep,
line, which was
16-16.
huge. Yeah, and Dewana missed 3 free throws, as Rebecca Lobo said on the thing, it was the thunder sticks, because she said they were dizzying, and Dewana's an 86% free throw shooter and missed
Mhm.
3, which is uncharacteristic, um, of her to miss 3 free throws, and Alyssa Thomas was 6 of 6. If you would have told me that Alyssa Thomas made all 6 free throws and Dewana missed 3 of 8, I would have been like, "Who is lying to me?" Because that
Yeah,
makes no sense.
yeah.
Um, but, Alyssa Thomas has figured out the shot put free throw, well, and I mean, it's weird to say I'm impressed with her 6 of 6 free throw line because it's Alyssa Thomas with, like, the torn labrums, but I was like, "She's not missing tonight. Okay."
Mm,
And I've seen her miss all the time, and I've seen her never, like, miss in some games, so that's how the free throws go with her. But, um, what are we gonna do about Tiffany Hayes? 30 points, 5 of 8 from 3, 12 and 19 scoring, was just attacking like none other, and sometimes I think we forget that she's left-handed. Um, it's like she's gonna go left, but
yeah.
I I said this before we started recording, I wanna see Kayla Thornton body her up more. Connecticut's bodied us up. I want it she's a little bit quicker than our guards besides Betnijah. She's a little bit quicker, she's a little bigger, she's a little more physical, and she's this is horrible to say, she's a little more expendable if she gets in foul trouble because, she doesn't play as many minutes, so her minutes could come in and she could just smack someone around a little bit to kinda send a message and to
Yeah.
kind of just establish kind of like a little bit more grit that Connecticut has been throwing at us. So I want to see KT push people
Mhm.
around a little bit more, because she could guard everybody on the floor, uh, because of her size, and Connecticut doesn't have a true scoring post player. So I and she's a a little bit shorter than Alyssa Thomas, but she's not gonna back down, so I wanna see that. That would be
Mhm.
my game 3. Not too many, but, like, 15 minutes. Just
Yeah. Just a little bit of bashing around.
punching people, just punching them. Just give them a little
Yeah.
punch here, and give them a little kidney, give them a little boom, boom. Yeah.
No, I think you're totally right. I think that if we have some, like, real defensive juggernauts on the team, namely Kayla Thornton. I think we need to use her a little bit more. She got she got alright minutes in the game, she got better minutes in the first game, but, like, even there were some points where, like, Ionescu was matched up with Hayes, and she just, like, she's so quick with that first step that Sabrina, she's a great all-round player, but she's more offensive heavy. Whereas, we have players like Kale Thornton who are much more defensive heavy. And I just think that Hayes had that edge on Sabrina. She knew that I get this ball, I have that quick first step, I'm going past her almost every time. And that's what happened. That's just what kept happening. So I think putting someone like Thornton up against her who's quick, who's a solid defender, and who can bash her about a little bit more will be a way to kind of, first of all, stop her from getting to the basket, stop her from scoring, but also, knock her confidence a little bit. I think we need to knock that confidence because she was talking a lot during that game.
A
Talking a
little
lot.
bit, just
Just a little bit.
a little bit,
Just a little
a
bit.
little bit. I it and so you're not gonna push too far because it is knotted up at 1-1, so I
Mm,
hopefully we can say more in the future. We'll see.
mhm.
But, yeah, Tip Hayes, good old Tiffany Tip Hayes is coming alive, and shooting as well as anybody right now, and, um, speaking of shooting well, 2 players, one that I said need to be important, this was Sloot, 8 for 13, 3 for 4 from the three-point line, had 19 points. Didn't lead an assist, but that wasn't where she was needed, and then Benijah, 5 of 7 from the three-point line, 7 for 11, went from, like, 3 points to 19, 3 points to 20 points, excuse me, 3 points to 20 points in different games, and then after the game, just kind of said to Holly Rowe in the interview, "Oh, you could say it was terrible, first game for her," as she was holding her adorable niece. So, Sloot and Benijah came through because we had and then Sabrina had a good game. It is weird to think that Stewie and Jonquel tied for 4th in scoring, and we win this game.
Mhm.
That is something
Mhm.
I was just surprised at, but also, look at the guards. I mean, the guards put up 60.
Yeah. The guards went for it, they really did, and as much as that's true of Stewie and Jones, I mean, they still had Stewie had 11 rebounds, Jones had 13 rebounds. They both had double doubles in that game. I don't think there's anyone else on the scorecard who had a double double. So, sometimes you just don't need it. And again, that's the beauty of this team. We have so many people who are capable of stepping up and being the top scorer of the game and having the most assists. It can change every game. And so it's really awesome to see like our MVP of the league, which we will get on, MVP for the season, and also Commissioner's Cup MVP. Both weren't not only weren't the highest scorers in the game, but weren't by a long shot.
Yeah.
And we still won. We still performed well, and they still had double doubles. Like it's just such a flex, and it's just testamentary to the skill on our team.
Well, it's like that one game where Sabrina didn't have a good game and still got a triple double because she got free throws
Mhm.
at the end to get her 12,
Mhm.
12, and 12. But, speaking of other statistics that are important, we did out-rebound them, 37 to 31, and we did not out-assist them 2 games in a row where we did not out-assist them, even though we had 12 assists in the second half, which means we only had 7 in the first half. 12 assists in the second half. If there was 12 in the first half, that would be about on average. Only 19 assists for the game, had 12 turnovers. Realistically, it was 11 because we took the shot clock violation at the end, which we didn't have to take. So going from 14 to 11, 3 more possessions. That's huge. But the biggest statistic of the game, as we talked about our MVP, led the team with 5 blocks. Emphatic, just momentum shifting, like compelling blocks, and the team together had 9 blocks. So you talk about the zone
Mm.
defensively, there was a certain tenacity that they came with, and they said they came with a different mentality, and all I thought like, in the second game compared to the first, and all I thought was, "You're in the semifinals. How is this not a mentality you're bringing all the time?" But I
Mhm.
was super appreciative and happy to see the when I said Kayla Thornton, I want her to come and, like, slap some people around and punch people around, those blocks were punches that we threw in that second game.
Oh, yeah. Some real highlight reel blocks as well. There
Yeah.
was, like, Stewie's gorgeous block as well, and then all the crowd were just going, "MVP, and it was beautiful to watch. It was lovely. And yeah, that's just another point again to add on to the fact, Stewie, only 11 points, not her high scoring game, but she still had 5 blocks. And she still had
I'm
a
sorry,
double double.
Kirsten can see me laughing because the fact that you called a block, I'm guessing it's the one on, like, after the MVP, that was over Olivia Nelson-Ododa. You called it lovely, and it was so it was, like, lovely is
I
in
mean,
my
it was
mind.
disrespect if for sure,
Oh,
but like
that's such a
it was
funny way to
lovely
describe
to
block. It was so
watch.
lovely. She
It was
pounded it right
lovely.
back
It
at
was
her.
just like, it was art.
Art.
Stacia, it was art.
It was.
Art is not disrespectful.
So great. Yeah,
Ooh,
I'm
anyway.
sorry. I had to tell our viewers why that you were kind of like the laugh of that, calling a block lovely. It's so perfect.
It's for us, lovely, maybe
Love
for everybody else in the league, complete disrespect in a lovely way,
in a
but
lovely way. Yeah. It's just
yeah,
like it's the classiness of the UK right there compared to the Americans. I was like, that was beast mode. And you're like, lovely block.
it was lovely, it was
Cinematic. Art.
spectacular.
It was like, what? Don't
Yeah.
bring that in my house. That's I mean, I'm just gonna get very like very aggressive with how I describe that block. Lovely. So
We're trying
hashtag
not to we've
hashtag lovely.
established this theme
Yeah.
throughout our podcast where, we don't talk ourselves up too much, just in case. So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't wanna be complete disrespect, like, "Oh, not in Stewie's house,"
Yeah.
or anything like that. It was lovely, and
It's
we'll leave it
lovely.
at that.
We can do one moment in the game where it was like, "What? Bring it."
What?
My mom and I have, a saying, but I did promise her I wasn't going to curse in this podcast, so I'll have to tell you later about what the saying is whenever, like, a monster block happens, because 'cause we've been saying it
Mhm.
for, like, about 20 years now. So,
Okay.
you're gonna like it, you
We
know,
could insert the word "lovely"
lovely.
where the curse word is.
It would be like, "Who said lovely?" So, you can think about whatever it is you want it to be. I like that though. Who said lovely? Who said lovely?
They'd be
Yeah,
like, "What?"
yeah.
So
That's it.
confused.
That's a shout out to my mom, and we've said that so many times with all the blocks or plays that go on. So, "Stewie said lovely." That would be the end of it. We say it to each other, and the other one's like, "Stewie said lovely." So, yeah, I hope you
I
guys can
rate
figure that out. Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so this game, despite the Liberty playing better, they still let the Sun hang around instead of like pretty much, and I'm gonna get very aggressive with that. So instead of keeping the Suns like keeping their like foot on their necks, they kept just
Mm,
like lifting up a little bit. So that always gives me pause. But you've played this team now 6 times. You've won 5 out of 6.
yeah.
So you can't feel too like mad or disappointed, but it's definitely something that I am worried about because we can't let off the gas. We can't, pick a foot up off the neck if we have him down, especially because this you've said this the Sun are just the underdog and they are mad about always being kind of like overlooked. So that is where I'm kind of worried about the future.
Mhm. Yeah, and they always end up performing so well in these playoff times, and the other point to make as well is, yeah, we won, yeah, towards the end of the game especially, we really stepped it up, but we only won by 7 points,
Yeah.
and for the majority of the game, they were also missing Heidemann, and Heidemann usually she only was on for 14 minutes. She usually plays like, 30, 33 to 35 minutes a game, puts up a good 12, 15 points. That's her. That's her missing, and that was the kind of make or break in that game. The difference in that game is that she didn't play those minutes. Had she played those minutes, she might have made up for those points. She might have scored that, and that's on us for, you know, taking our foot off the neck. That's how we put it, yeah.
There you go, yeah,
So,
and I
you know,
also
one of
worry.
their
Yeah,
starting 5 was not there for a lot of the game, so
yeah, and so, I know that they said that she went and had to, like, throw up because
mm,
I didn't think it was a sickness. I think Holly said something about how she got hit in the stomach and everything just didn't sit well, and
yeah.
then also Rebecca Allen, who had a great first game, got in foul trouble, so you have a couple players, but
Mhm.
despite that, Tiff Hayes has her highest scoring game or tied her career high in the playoffs with 30. So that's not an everyday occurrence. So
Yeah.
you have that. So I hope that doesn't continue,
Mhm.
but their guards are playing well, and um, we just have to be ourselves, and we have to pass better and come off those traps off our pick and rolls, our high pick and rolls. We have to be better off those traps. Um, those are my things to look forward to in the next two games. How much better are we going to pass? How much better are we going to come off on the traps? And then the third thing is, uh, how well are we going to be able to adapt after they adapt to the zone
Mhm.
defense?
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's gonna
huge.
be a big one.
Well, going back to Connecticut feeling disrespected, switching over to MVP voting. Brianna Stewart. Brianna Stewart. I almost said Brianna. Brianna Stewart got her second MVP award this year. She won in 2018, the first year that the first championship she had with the Storm in 2018, and that was her third season in the league. So I think they said she's only the fourth player ever to get an MVP in her first year with a new team, which one of them was Cynthia Cooper for the Houston Comets in the first year of the league. So I think that's kind of dumb because wasn't that
Yeah.
everybody's first year with their
Yeah.
team? That doesn't seem to make
True.
sense. Uh, so this is where the underdog mentality comes in. Stewie was second in first place voting, getting 20 of the 60 first place votes. Alyssa Thomas got 23 first place votes, and Asia Wilson got 17 first place votes. But MVP voting, 10 points for a first place vote, 7 points for a second place vote, 5 points for a third place vote, 3 for a fourth place vote, and 1 for a fifth place vote. So, how does Stewie win this? Stewie gets 23 second place votes, 17 third place votes, and Alyssa Thomas only got 12 second place votes, 25 third place votes. Asia, 17 first place votes, 25 second place votes, 17 third place votes. And as Dawn Staley said, whoever gave her the fourth place vote this year for Asia. She had one fourth place vote. Don Saley, I believe, said, "We see your hate, whoever made that vote, because that is just wrong if I've ever seen anything in my life in which Chelsea Gray got that third place vote." So, I mean, it stayed in the aces, but again, wrong.
Yeah.
And Stewie won with 446 points. Alyssa Thomas second with 439 points, and Asia third with 433 points, which just pretty much means 3 votes, and it's a completely different order, and just a couple shifts here and there, and this is how close it was, and I said this to you, if it wasn't Stewie, I go for Alyssa Thomas, and then, of course, Asia had her 53-point game, so I'm like, "I don't know what's happening now." But I also think that people are human, and they're like, "Asia has 2 MVPs." So it's hard to keep giving her multiple ones, and Alyssa Thomas had her year, so I don't know if there's ever gonna be a closer MVP race, considering
Mhm.
1st and 3rd were 13 points away, and Stewie and Alyssa were 7 points away. This is just insane. Uh, and my mom asked me here's the other point on this. My mom asked me, "Do you think Stewie's the MVP?" And I said, "Yes," for regular season, because as of the
Yeah.
playoffs, it goes Asia, Alyssa, Stewie. Now,
Mhm.
it's, um because Asia's killing the playoffs and just making more of a point. But I am happy that Stewie got it. We've been saying this the whole year. You have 4 40-point games. You're with a new team, a new coach. Same thing as Alyssa Thomas. That's why she was my number 2, new coach. But you are with a very similar team that you've had before.
Mhm.
So you have that chemistry. Stewie comes into a brand new situation. And rebounding, what, 4th in the league in rebounding? Just, a little bit below Asia and Alyssa. Is 5th or 6th in blocks. But what she had over Asia was she had more assists. She had more
Mhm.
assists per game. Of course, Alyssa was the lowest of them in points, but was higher than them in rebounds and assists. So I, it comes to I don't even know what it comes down to. I don't even know what it comes down to because Everybody's like, "No disrespect in this, but then this. Any one
Mhm.
of these winning it, we knew it was gonna come down to these 3, and Asia winning Defensive Player of the Year, that's why she's 3rd in MVP voting. That's it. I mean, that's it on that, but
Yeah.
I'm very happy Stewie won, and I'm talking a lot about numbers on this, and you can just keep doing that, but
No,
I still vote Stewie. Yeah.
it's you're totally right. It ultimately does come down to that. I think you can look at the stats, you can look at everything, and it's just so hard to kind of come to a conclusive decision based off the stats alone. I think there's a hugely, first of all, circumstantial aspect to it, and also a very human aspect to it. Like what you said, Aja, she got Defensive Player of the Year. Naturally, in a lot of people, they'll therefore think, okay, well, if Aja's got Defensive Player of the Year, maybe someone else deserves MVP this year. That's probably the way that I would go about it as well. When you have such tight competition, and also the complete circumstance. Aja's playing for the same team she's been playing for, who just won the championship last year. You expect that she's going to play very well this season. You have Stewie, you have Alyssa Thomas with a new coach. Like we said, relatively same team though, and Stewie, on the other hand, brand new team, brand new coach, and not to mention that, but she's on a brand new team of all-stars. Like, it's one of the most stacked teams that the league has seen ever, yet she's managed to come in off her first season, and within a few weeks, she's, like, top performing. She's scoring 40 points in her first home game of the season. Like, who who does that? I
Yeah.
just think you can look at the stats all you want. You can look at the numbers and you can say, okay, technically in comparison, if we weigh it up, so and so places higher or whatever. But you look at the circumstance behind it and the way she's completely adapted to this brand new team of a lot of other players who could have also ended up being in that MVP run, and she's performed the way she has. I think there's no doubt in my mind that Brianna Stewart deserved the MVP for this season. I agree with what you're saying about the postseason as well, though. Like she hasn't been performing as well. And we've had Aja, who's she's been balling, and we know Aja's like this. Aja's just she performs so well in the playoffs, and it's the same with Alyssa Thomas. She has that underdog mentality, and she just goes for it. She's a machine. Um, and there has been a slight slump for Brianna Stewart. Hopefully, we see it pick up. But other than that, like no doubt in my mind that circumstantially speaking and stats put together, Brianna Stewart deserved MVP by far.
Yeah. Uh, it's just so it's so difficult. Uh, the thing that bugs me, I think, the most about a couple of the awards is that Alyssa Thomas doesn't get any Player of the Year awards. Like no Defensive Player of the Year, no MVP. That's the only thing that really kind of bothers me. Um, I wish there could just be like a badass Player of the Year. Go with
Mm,
her. Be like, you had 6 triple doubles. You're badass. Like,
yeah,
let's just give you that. I know she got. I mean, there's awards for stats, like she had the most rebounds, so like they like give those awards, like Jewel gets a scoring title, all these kind of things. But it's not the same as people voting for you for doing this. So it's it's one of those where I'm just like, I can't believe how tight this was. But and it does suck for her that she got the most first place votes and then doesn't get it because that's such a weird stat. And I think I believe they said that's the second time that's happened. Lauren Jackson got more first place votes, but Cheryl Swoops won MVP in the mid aughts, I believe, is what I read. So fact checked. Anytime we say fact check, we don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. So, yep. So Stewie gets the MVP. I think we called it in like our second episode. She dropped 45.
yeah,
It's like our second episode, like Stewie for MVP. Yeah,
yeah.
it's New York City. It's pretty amazing. She's had quite a year. Getting ready to be a mother of 2 here soon. So
Mm.
congrats to her on so many things. But it's still
It's
so
just a
much more to
winning year for
accomplish.
Stewie.
Yeah, let's hope so. So much more to accomplish. Now, the Liberty play the Sun on Friday night, and then play the Sun, also in Connecticut on Sunday afternoon. Gotta win one. I
Yeah.
yeah, I am confident in our libs after seeing the fight that they had in the second game, but I'm still
Mhm.
very I mean, it's Connecticut. It's Connecticut. It's Connecticut. I mean, beginning of the year, I thought Washington and Connecticut were gonna be 3-4 in the standings, and we had to play both of them the first couple rounds of the playoffs, which is just awful,
Tough.
um,
Awful.
which is just
Not
awful.
so lovely.
Yeah, it's not so lovely. Not hashtag not so lovely. And so, so what do we think is gonna happen? I'm not gonna make any predictions. I don't wanna make any predictions. I want our libs to win. I wanna see they have to get assist over 20 assists in this game, in the next 2
Mhm.
games, and then they have to out rebound them to be able to win this game because that will lead to better shooting, unlike the first game. That's what I need to see happen. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going with.
I I don't I don't know how I feel about making a prediction. I think after seeing that game and with the kind of knowledge that I mean, that first game was just our worst game of the season,
Yep.
I honestly can see us potentially taking these next 2. The thing to consider though is, yeah, you're right. They are gonna be in Connecticut, so it's gonna be different environment, it's gonna be very much in favor of the sun. So, I'm hasty, but we could 100% do it in these next 2 games, and, it would be nice to have a Sunday game that I can watch,
Yeah.
in real time and not be dying,
Yeah.
um, and have us win and be like, "Wow, we're going to the finals." So, I'm gonna for my own selfish reasons, I'm gonna say next 2 games we've got it. It's gonna be so close. There's not gonna be another walkover game. It's gonna be so close. But I'd like to see it. Sunday, we win it and off to the finals.
That'd be very, very nice. I did say before the series started, I predicted Liberty in 4, and that was
Mm,
very apprehensive to that, but, we'll see. They're in position to do it, so, at a 4-game winning streak against the Sun going into the series, now we've got a 1-game winning streak. It'd be nice to end on a 3-game winning streak
mhm,
and just have that confidence, but yep, better assist, gotta rebound. Stewie's gotta be an MVP.
yeah.
Not defensively, scoring-wise, because
Mhm,
she's 0 for 11 the past 2 games from 3. She's gotta get that back, so let's do that. Let's do that. We'll see what happens. Assists, rebounds, Stewie scoring,
yeah.
and, I mean, I'm still gonna have to say that the keys to the series I always thought were, like, Sloot and Jonquel, and they
Mhm,
came through last game, so those are still gonna be those, but
mhm,
you never know. You never know. There's so many ways that this team can win,
mhm.
and let's see what Caleb Thornton can come in and do to shut some people up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, we will be back next week. Uh, fingers crossed that we get some good news to report on. But we will be back next week. Stewie's MVP got that award. Got some Defensive Players of the Year. So exciting that the Liberty got their first ever MVP in New York Liberty history. So that's pretty amazing. Congrats to Stewie. And yeah, we'll see everybody next week for Across the Pond
Yeah.
Liberty. I'm Stacia.
And I'm Kirsten.
See
See
everybody
you guys
next week.
next week.